Hello, friends. We are back. This is Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. I'm Ted Hicks, and across from me is Richie V.
What's up, Ted? What's going on?
What's up, man?
Not much.
Rich Valdez is in the building once again.
We're both here.
Yeah, we are. But
We're not
especially
virtually
you.
here.
No, but especially you're here because you didn't know this, because you didn't look at the show notes, because I just sent them out.
I see. They just came out.
They just came out, but that's a good thing. I like
Hot
to
off the
think.
presses.
Let's get through a couple of things first. I want to thank all the affiliates that play our show. I want to thank Mr. Brian Graves, who always holds it down for us.
Super producer.
12:40 a.m. WGBB. That I think it's coming up on 3 years. Very shortly.
It's got to be soon.
Time is just flying.
New studios, different
ticking,
studios.
Ticking.
Into the future.
Yeah, so where do we get started? We get started
Tiger
with
El Tigre.
El Tigre? This guy, I mean, the Redemption Tour?
Well, how long did it take? I mean, he's been working hard trying to get
Yeah.
that swing back, get the back in shape, get the new form.
Back surgeries. You had all the pundits on every platform hollering at him.
Tiger's done. Tiger's done.
He's
no
done.
more.
He's a
done.
wrap. And after he won, did you notice 45 seconds after he won, the new Nike commercial that dropped?
No.
Yes. It was great. 45 seconds after
Nice.
he won. I'm just wondering, a conglomerate like Nike, how long do they have that in the cannon?
That's a good question.
How long are they holding on to it?
See, I got to see if I can catch that real quick, because
Yeah,
that commercial's
it's great.
got to be posted.
Oh, it's great. I'm telling you. But it was, the great thing about Tiger, because it's good for golf.
Yes.
It's good. It's great for sports. Kind of unifies the country.
Even if it's just a small piece of unification. Even if it's just the tiniest bit. Because like you're saying, I mean, Tiger was the best thing that happened to golf in the last 20 years.
Yes.
The best thing for golf
Yes.
in the last 20 years.
I mean, we got a lot of Phil Mickelson's fans, but
Yeah.
But I will say this much: today, after his win, he united former President Obama and current sitting President Trump, because they both congratulated him.
For the briefest of moments.
Yes, in the universe, we were kind of just tied together for once, and they agreed upon something.
It's a start, right?
I think
guess.
it really is. Tiger Woods for America.
Tiger Woods back. Tiger Woods winning 15th major.
5th Masters, 15th major, and guess what? He's only 3 away from tying the Golden Bear.
Jack?
He's back in that conversation.
Well, so the big test will be, when is the next event that he will be, the next major event that he'll be a part of.
Right.
Even if he's close, he's in. I mean, if he wins, it's, then it's like, oh my God, he's really fully back.
Well, the question becomes if he's fully back, because I'm sure, you had a lot of people talking trash.
Of course.
You had a lot of people ready to challenge, they were ready to come at the king. And now he's back, and it's a good thing.
And that's got to do a lot for his mental game, too. Get that win. How many years has it been?
A major?
Yeah.
2008.
Whew.
Remember, he won his first Masters in 2005.
It was that long ago. Yeah.
It was that long ago.
It's got to be good for his head. Get that first win under.
Yeah.
Come back in the hunt the entire time. Floundered a little bit there. A couple of bogeys near the end. It's like, oh no, is it going to crack? Is it going to crack? But
right.
Came through. Congratulations, Tiger. Proud to see it. Good for you.
Definitely. And I'm sure CBS was smiling. earlier.
Ratings win all across the board.
Jim Nance was there in all of his glory, trying to make Tiger cry, I guess. I don't know. But it's good, like I said, it's good for the sport. And it changes the narrative a little bit because you got to think about it. This is the first playoff in 9 years that LeBron James hasn't been in the playoffs.
Oh, wow.
First time. Well, 9 straight finals. So I'm thinking at least 10 years, and I'm sure the NBA's taking a hit slightly. Well, I think they took a hit when he moved from the East to the West.
Right.
Because, then games became, you got to wait till 10:30 at night if you wanted to see him.
But was it that, or was it because the fans really didn't like that move?
No. I think the fans did like the move. I think the issue is more on the lines of it's a different time zone. He's now the late game.
Right. Okay.
So, and then it's looking at the Eastern Conference and saying, okay, who's going to pick up that mantle that he's gone? There's a whole bunch of players that have picked up the mantle, but I mean, it's good. I know we want to mention, big shout out. Don't want to mention where we are with the Islanders, but glad that they're in the playoffs. Glad that they're playing this first round at Nassau Coliseum.
That's a big thing, especially since it's been so long.
Right.
Not playing it in Brooklyn, their
right.
home, quote unquote. And you're happy about it.
Oh, of course, of course. So it's at least this first round they're going to be playing at Nassau Coliseum. So which is always a good thing. We say go Islanders. Rich, we didn't get a chance to talk about this. We want to let everyone know this is Late Night Parents with Ted and Rich. Ways to follow the show, the website, latenightparents.com. Mm-hmm. But this Nipsey Hustle, murder.
Tragedy, as all murders are.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh.
Besides
here we go.
1 or 2 songs.
He's about to jump into the deep end.
Jumping into the deep end. Never really heard of him.
I guess it's because we're showing our age a little bit.
Could very well. But I'm sorry. I seem to hear and see too many people. Again, condolences are great, and caring, and it could be generational.
Okay,
but it does seem like a whole lot of people are out there extolling the sadness that it just doesn't. Why? Not that it shouldn't be. Don't get me wrong. I'm not clarifying this properly, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But it seems like there's people who are invested in this who were never invested in the man before.
Okay.
Unless, they are too, and also just fed up with the whole situation of the violence and the needless deaths and killing, which just about every death is, right?
Right.
And he was, all things said, it seems like he was on the right path, trying to change his younger ways. And, he was a performer and pretty popular, and was especially there trying to do the right thing for a friend.
Right.
And then, a former associate comes up and kills him. So that's sadness in itself. But I don't know. Again, you're probably right. Just generational. Certain people's tragic deaths would have hit me harder than this. So I understand it, I guess. So
I'm going to come from a totally different perspective.
Yep.
So in one of the chat rooms that I sit in, or one of the chat rooms that I'm a member in, better description of it, mentioned his death. Mm-hmm. And the first thing I said was, wasn't he a Crip?
Uh-huh.
But one of my friends enlightened me that it was, so much bigger than that. He changed his life around,
right.
Invested in the community,
right.
Was trying to do things.
Trying to do the right things.
Trying to help other people. So I guess from the outside perspective looking in, the quick read on it, because everyone at some point is going to have in their life, you're going to open their book. You're gonna you're gonna read it. And you're gonna say, okay.
Okay.
So, I will say this much. I hear the young man did a lot of great things.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a generation thing.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Because the kids knew who this person was.
Right.
And I didn't.
Right. Okay. But see, also, and hey, could also be a little bit of the old East Coast, West Coast thing. Well, West Coast thing going on here because I mean, we still listen to the music.
We still listen to the music,
both,
right?
And musically, he wasn't on my radar musically.
No, not at all.
Sounds like he wasn't on your radar musically either.
Not at all. Not at all.
So, and going back to what you were just mentioning about gang associations, things like that. What I heard, which I find very interesting, the gentleman who he was there to give some clothing to and help get on his feet is being charged with hanging out with gang associated people because he was there with Nipsey, and maybe going back to jail. Be considering it a probation violation. I mean, come on. Sad. He's not there for any reason except to get some clothing that his friend is giving him, fully legitimately as the owner of the business. There's nothing shady here. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Any way you look at it.
Yep.
I mean, the only thing we could say is rest in peace.
Yeah.
Also, rest in peace to... I just found out... Now, I don't go to Facebook a lot.
Right. Yes, we know.
But in one of the mini groups that I'm in, someone that went to my high school just passed away. So rest in peace to Tracy Phillips.
Sorry to hear.
And sitting here saying, okay, she was in late 40s.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow. It was one of those things like you open it, you
like,
scroll, and you're like, what?
No, that Tracy?
I was like,
that's so and so. Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's stuff like this continues to happen.
It's going to happen more and more.
Right.
I mean, we're starting to get older, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've had a couple of friends from back in the day, pass away, and they're going away young, from extenuating circumstances, of health.
Younger.
Well, I don't know.
No.
It'd be a question to ask our elders. When did you start to notice your friends passing away?
That's true. That's true.
I mean, according to...
Through natural causes or through...
Yeah, natural causes. Natural causes.
I was going to say gunplay?
Yeah, no, natural causes. But, people get sick. There's all the heart diseases and diabetes, all the things, people not taking care of themselves, But, because, technically, we live longer than our parents did.
Right.
Right? So, but I guess it's just one of those things. You hit a certain age, get to that 50 number, older family starts passing away.
Right.
Then it's your friends from back in the day that start passing away. It's just that whole big circle of life thing. Your mortality starts to slap you in the face once in a while.
So, my perspective is, from growing up in Queens, seeing a lot of people fall to the wayside and not actually make it in their 20s going into their 30s.
Right.
That's one aspect of it because of their lifestyle.
Right.
That was number one. But what I noticed is one of my friends mentioned to me that a lot of people aren't making it to 40. And I said, well, what do you mean? And one of my friends just started naming people that we knew. And he was like, not here anymore. This one's not here anymore.
And 40 is young no matter what generation.
Right. So you take that, and now you're running into stuff where it seems like some of these people not making it to 50. So like you said, because everyone has the technology,
right?
And for the most part, as much as people talk about it, a large majority of the people have the health care benefits.
Yeah, but I think a lot do, but still a lot don't. But I think it also may fall back to a word you said a couple of minutes ago, lifestyle.
Right.
Now, I know, I mean, we all had fun when we were younger.
Right.
You know, let's be real, right? But some of us had a whole lot more fun than others.
Of course.
And
of course,
you don't feel it at all when you're in your 20s.
You don't.
You're invincible. You can drink as much as you want to drink.
You could.
You can get that 2 hours worth of sleep every night for 2 weeks
Right.
and just come in blurry-eyed.
Totally, I agree with you.
You want to experiment with some other things, you can. And some people you do more than experiment and use, and they may get out of it when they get older. But all these things take a toll on your body.
You're right.
And, you know, when you hear those passing away in their young 30s, 40s, even, 50s is still
young.
You got to figure what are the extenuating circumstances.
Right.
Sure. At least I would think it's safe to say that in New York, access to health care shouldn't be an issue.
No. I agree with you.
If you're working, if you've got a traditional employment, you probably have some sort of health care.
Yes.
You have access to the health care.
Access to
But then as
the
men,
key word is access.
That's why I said it. Because we know as men, especially, I'm not that way anymore, but there was a time I'd be like, I ain't going to the doctor. Nah, don't need to go. Nah, not necessary. And then, you got to come to that realization at whatever age that, all right, so I'll make that trip once a year at least.
Oh, yeah.
You have to. A lot of us don't.
You have to.
A lot of us don't. And don't we wish Dr. Michelle were here for this conversation, because I'm sure she would have some input on this.
But I think also, and that's so true. If you're not going to the doctor regularly, do you have a blood pressure machine at home?
Right.
There's certain things that you could monitor.
You can do yourself.
That you can monitor, that you can easily track.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, here's what I'm noticing.
I'll take that back. You don't need a blood pressure machine at home. Every pharmacy I know has one inside. Every CVS, every Walgreens.
Of course.
Go in there and sit down for the 1 minute it takes for that cuff to pump up.
Right.
And if it comes up a little high, make an appointment with your doctor and tell him. A couple of times. It's not going to hurt you. And you can afford that $20 or $30 copay most likely.
Yes. I agree with you. There's like 20 plus candidates that are running for president.
Democratic nomination. Throwing hats in.
Everyone's throwing hats in there. Mayor Pete from South Bend joined the race today officially. I will say this much. He checks the boxes from my point of view.
Right.
Midwest,
yes.
Millennial,
yes.
Veteran,
yes.
Hasn't lost his mind with saying anything that's kind of... Not yet. And I just hope people, voters, whomever is your candidate of choice when the primaries happen, that they don't hold against him his sexuality. I hope that people can say, you know what, I'm looking for the candidate that's going to align with your own personal values.
Right. You think America's ready for an openly gay president? Put it out there. That's the little dance that was just done.
That was the little dance that was just done.
Do you think America's ready for an openly gay president?
I think possibly.
He does hit a lot of the check boxes. I think he's a little too young. 37 is also really young for people to get behind as president.
But not for the millennials.
Not for the millennial. Very true.
And I'm telling you, the older that we get,
that's true.
Guess what? We start becoming the minority.
Yep.
Okay? We become the ones that start looking. We're looking forward to, hey, Rich, are you looking forward to that midterm election in 2022?
Nothing else to do.
We got nothing else to do.
But we're the voters.
Right.
We are the ones who vote. The millennials may have an opinion, but they don't get out and vote yet.
Because I remember 11 years ago, question was, were African Americans going to get out there and rock the vote?
Yes. Did in numbers.
They did in numbers. They did.
Got behind him, man.
You got behind a candidate that a lot of people said, oh, he's not going to win. Nah, this has never happened.
Right.
I'm telling you.
I know. The only concern I still have for the Democratic Party is that it looks like what happened with the Republicans in reverse.
There's no message. There's
no message.
Nothing. It's a weak party.
Almost 24 candidates out there at this point. Now, granted, it hasn't been debate the first. No, the first filter hasn't happened yet.
With Biden?
Come on.
With your Schultz from Starbucks?
Yeah.
With Bloomberg?
That one.
With all of these people that just kind of sitting in the cut waiting for Biden to say, you know what, no thank you.
No thank you. Which I don't think. I think he's going to run.
Then you look at 25. No, then you're looking at about 27.
Right. And then, come on.
Then it's a joke.
Then it's second term for Trump.
Yes.
Unless, a year away from the election, Democrats all realize that, okay, we really just have to unify.
Right.
Here's our candidate. Everyone get behind this person. Mm-hmm. And it can't be a person on the fringe. That's what's got so many people scared that, that the Democratic Party right now is too far to the left. And, you have very outspoken people who are polarizing.
Yes.
Not that the person in charge isn't polarizing right now. Don't get me wrong at all. But it's not an easy. I think it could be an easy battle if you go a little moderate, pick the right person, or pick the person that the people truly want. It's that simple. Don't try to force anyone down our throats. Let the people decide. Go with that decision. Support that person, and you got a shot at it.
Gotcha. We're going to table that discussion. This is Late Night Parents. Ways to follow the show, latenightparents.com. Speaking with Rich Valdez and Ted Hicks. Rich, a topic I keep bringing up to you.
Uh-oh.
I brought it up in 2015. 2015, 2016.
2015, 2016? Uh-oh.
Yeah, I brought it up then, and you were kind of like, Ted, come on. Why are you worried about this?
Okay.
What happens to our Facebook accounts when we die?
The same thing that happens to everything that's out there online. It never goes away. It's there forever.
That was true, and that was a great answer until this past week. Facebook said they're putting plans in place for to move these accounts with the use of AI into like in memoriam status, moving it more to like a tribute or like a legacy status.
Interesting.
Because a lot of people, you run into the situation when you go to you hear someone has passed away,
right?
And you have people putting up tributes to the person, and the person was just posting something,
right?
And you're just kind of sitting there like, oh my God,
have they come across?
Right. I'm not sure what's happening right here, but all in all, it's something that it's a work in progress. Where if you do it beforehand, if you grant someone the access, like basically saying, in case I transition,
right,
I want XYZ person to have access to my account.
Okay.
Now, that person who has access to the account, they cannot read your direct messages.
Okay.
They cannot remove any post.
Okay.
But they will have access to say,
so-and-so has passed away.
So-and-so has passed away. This person, the homegoing services
right.
going to be in
right.
A, B, and C, and stuff like that. The one question, there's two questions I have for you. First one is, and this is something horrible that I'm going to say.
Probably not.
Okay. What if you have couple A,
right.
B?
Right.
They're in a car together and they have a car accident.
Right.
And both of them pass away.
And they were the reciprocal.
Yes. then what do you do? I mean, I guess that's a question for Sheryl Sandberg.
I guess, I mean, that's would be such an extenuating circumstance, I would think. But, given like
Is it
that.
really? I mean.
Given, for presented like that, I'm
Right.
sure that could easily happen,
That
right?
can easily happen. I mean.
Then at that those accounts both revert to the old style where, friends and family post a message like what happens now.
Right.
So-and-so was in an accident, blah, blah, blah. The account sits there and.
Okay.
Maybe at that point they can send a message to maybe Facebook will have something in place where if someone contacts them, can validate the information, the story, and look up other relations to the folks who have passed, and maybe say, oh well, this person obviously and clearly is listed as family and has the same last name and everything else. Assign them that, and after verifying that the people have passed, that's got to be a key to it. Maybe then they'll be able to do something. I don't know. It would make sense. I mean, it sounds good to me.
So I guess from this brief segment right here, so when you're preparing your life insurance and
Facebook account.
My Facebook account. I want my Facebook account, this person to have access to it. And you're like, okay.
Hey, it's a curated listing of your history in life for 10 years or more, right?
Right. The last piece I'm going to say on this is, I'm not really sure how to say this because this is going to sound kind of weirdish.
Uh-oh.
Would you be surprised in 2 years, 3 years, when Facebook comes out and says, hey, all those accounts that we said, that belong to people that are no longer here, that have transitioned on.
Yeah.
Either A, there was a breach, or B, we marketed to their friends through their advertising mechanisms to,
You gotta hope that those accounts are just put offline status, basically. Put up this post and it's locked, no other changes to the account. And no, you don't go advertising to the family of a group of deceased, mass mailings about internment options and things like that. No, come on. No, they wouldn't do that.
They wouldn't do that.
No.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, they would, but no.
You know they would. Rich, want to test your knowledge on Game of Thrones?
Uh-oh. I got to pull up some names now.
First 7 seasons of Game of Thrones introduced countless subplots and characters, many of whom go by several different names, and all of whom seem to rock a beard.
A lot of guys do rock beards.
They do.
It's true.
The citizens of 7 kingdoms drop like flies and sometimes shockingly come back to life seasons later.
Has happened.
Even if you're diligently watching since day one, it's a lot to keep track of. So heading into the 8th and final season, test your knowledge, Rich Valdez, of the world of Westeros. And pick up the trivia for your Game of Thrones watch party tonight.
Are we in?
So, I need to know from you. Gonna just ask you a couple questions.
Let's see first. There we go. Then if I need to. Okay.
What is the name of Arya Stark's sword?
Arya. Needle.
Okay. What's the locations where most scenes in the north below the wall are filmed?
Just below the wall, the Castle Black.
Okay. What's the official name for the naked walk Cersei did in the season 5 finale?
Was that the Walk of Shame?
Dude, it's like Arya's direwolf is named
Nymeria.
Okay. The Tyrell ancestral home is
High Garden. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Aside from his twin, Cersei, Jaime Lannister has slept with how many women?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to say none. I don't remember.
Okay.
Is that right?
0 is an option.
0 is an option. Oh, we don't really know the answer for sure.
They're all the way at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Which character is the three-eyed raven?
Bran Stark.
Brienne is from
Tarth.
right before her season 4 marriage to Tyrion. Sansa Stark briefly thought she'd marry
Joffrey Baratheon.
What number Lord Command of the Night's Watch was Jon Snow?
Ooh, don't remember. Wait, but now see, there's a whole lot of things. He couldn't have been 13th because that number shows up on a lot of things, but he wasn't 13th. I don't remember. 40-something?
I think 998. How did Khal Drogo kill
Daenerys' brother?
Yeah.
By pouring gold over his head.
Molten
gold. So he could have a crown that he always wanted.
Which king did Jaime Lannister slay to earn Kingslayer's nickname?
The Mad King. Oh, wow. Targaryen, what's his face? He was the Mad King. I forget his first name, but Targaryen.
Okay. Now that season 7 revealed Jon Snow's true parents, how are Daenerys and Jon related?
Daenerys is his aunt.
Ugh.
Well, Jaime and Cersei. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What's the name of the song associated with House Lannister that's played at the Red Wedding?
Oh, and I do know the answer to this. Reigns of Castamere?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who actually poisoned Joffrey?
Tyrell. The Tyrell mother,
Marjorie?
Marjorie, no.
Olenna,
yeah.
What's the Hound's real name?
Ooh, Sandor Clegane.
Ramsay brainwashed Theon?
Yes.
To think his name was?
Reek.
The sassy little girl who said, "We know no king, but the king in the north is from House."
And I like her House. Give me the options. I'll know when I hear it.
Baratheon?
Nope.
Greyjoy?
Nope.
Stark?
Nope.
Mormont?
Yep. House Mormont.
Peter Baelish is also known as
Littlefinger.
There you go. And I would give you a 99.999.
Jamie, did Jamie sleep with anybody else? That's the only one I.
Yeah,
I don't remember that one.
That's true.
Did Jamie sleep with anyone else besides Cersei?
So there's 6 episodes.
Yeah.
Only 6.
HBO released the timelines last week. Initially, we were hearing that all of them were going to be an hour and a half long. Now that's not the case. A couple are an hour, a couple are like a little over. But it's here.
So just regular episodes.
A couple of them will be just regular episodes.
That's kind of.
But a couple of them will be like movies.
Okay. I guess.
So wait, did you catch up mostly at this point?
No, not at all. Not at all. But what I did watch on YouTube was, what had happened was, I had time to watch on YouTube. It was a crash course.
Okay. All right.
It was an hour-long crash course, and it went from season to season to season to season.
Okay.
So that when these 6 episodes are over, I guess I can watch it again and again and again.
Over and over and over. Let me see. No, time frame. Let's see. All right, so opening episode. Wow, tonight's episode is going to be a reasonably short one. 54 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one's only going to be 58 minutes. All right. But episode 3 will be long.
And you waited 2 full years for this. Come on. 2 years. You waited 2 years.
Last episode? No. Yeah.
2 years.
2 years.
Come on.
They could have given us a little more.
I mean,
but there will be the prequel. There are prequels in the works.
Yeah, okay.
Thousands of years ahead of time. I don't know if lightning will strike twice.
Okay.
This was a lot to get vested into.
I think if they had given us an hour 20 minutes each episode,
would have been fine. Would have been great.
Would have been great. Not even thinking about that. And I don't know. That's because they moved ahead of the book.
Yeah, they're far ahead of the book now.
But hey, want to let you know that we have a recorded interview with Joe Fitzpatrick of the New England Sports Village. He's going to join us very shortly. Like I said, recorded interview to talk about kids and sports and how much is too much. 35 million youths are playing sports, and the debate rages on about aggressive training, early specialization, and how much, as I said before, is too much. The culture of sports has always been about an issue of behavior, abuse issues, which have always been at the forefront of the NFL and in other leagues. Are these youth athletes taught from the young age to be aggressive at all costs? Joe Fitzpatrick will join us. But before that interview starts, Rich, I want to say very quick expectations for Game of Thrones.
I'm going in with none. I expect someone to die tonight.
Tonight.
I expect someone to die tonight. I had no idea who.
Okay.
We had our little thing going on at work. Who will be alive at the end of the show?
Okay.
Got to start putting that together to memorialize it. Seeing other things on Facebook, people doing the same things, long drawn out. Will they be alive? Who's going to kill them? I expect it to be good.
Okay.
I expect every of these last 6 episodes to be like nonstop.
Are they going to give us 6 straight episodes, or is it going to be, here's 2 episodes?
Oh, I don't know. I can't. They better not do that.
We're going to be off, and then here's another episode, and here's another 2 weeks to kind of drag it on.
No, we should be good. There's no major holiday coming up that would, interrupt. There's nothing political coming up that would interrupt. We should be able to get 6 weeks straight. Have you heard otherwise?
I haven't heard otherwise. I will watch tonight. I don't know what I will be watching, but I watched a couple episodes last year. 2 years ago.
You're totally lost.
And I was kind of just like, okay.
Got to watch it from the beginning.
But, as long as you know Jon Snow and Daenerys and...
so many of the side characters have so much meaning and will be parts of it.
Okay.
Pick up the DVD group package.
HBO Go.
It's all out there now.
Go.
Yeah, that's true. That's how I did it. That's how I redid it, yeah.
It's great. You pull it up. Hey, I want to tell you this much. Do want to mention, dude, I love Veep. I love watching Veep. I don't know if
great show. I've watched it. Thought it was great. Just never got into watching it on a regular basis. Yeah, funny show.
Funny show. And just the writing for the show is great. So, best ways to get in contact with you?
Late Night Rich.
And I am the real Ted Hicks. We're going to go into our interview with Joe Fitzpatrick, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Winter is here.
It sounds like it looks like you're on Skype, but I tell you, the Skype, your connection is wonderful.
I'm actually on my phone, so maybe I have
cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited to chat with you. So thanks
wonderful. Hey, no problem. Thanks for coming on. I was just getting started to talk about kids in sports and how much is too much. And I was giving my perspective on youth sports, and from being a dad who has a daughter that was engaging in CYO basketball, and then also with Tyro basketball and AAU training, and it was very, very intense, very, very aggressive, the training, and because everyone has that pie in the sky, idea, of, hey, my child is going to be the next, and insert the name. So, but I wanted to get your perspective, because this is a pretty critical topic on kids in sports. How much is too much? What are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you're right. We're pretty heavily involved in the kids' sports space, particularly with the project that we're doing out here. So we deal with a lot of coaches, parents, and I think that absolutely in today's world there's a lot more pressure on kids, and I think it's translated to sports. And I think there's a lot of different reasons why that might be happening, but I think it correlates, the explosion of technology, which is great for a lot of things in society, but I also think that it also can be a drawback because there's just way more information, so that it creates a much more competitive environment than when you had, say, when I was a kid. I'm 43, right? So you didn't have access to so much information.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. Like, for instance, like, here in the Northeast, hockey is really big, right? So you'll have like mite hockey teams that have, all their stats online, and these kids are 7 or 8 years old, right? And parents are keeping track of goals and everything. And I think there's just a lot of information overload, and I think it leads to, a lot of, just a lot of interaction that you wouldn't have seen previously. When you had more alone time with your kids as a family. If you went back to your house, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't the ability to, be on social media 24/7. So, I think you had a little bit more downtime than you do today. And I think it's translated into sports. I also think that the other thing that's driving it is, there's a lot of competition, and college has become extremely expensive.
Yes.
And I don't think wages has kept up with it. I don't think people's income has kept up with the cost of college, and, that's evidenced by, the massive student loan debt that you see in the United States, right?
Correct.
So I think parents view it as a way to get their children an education. So you see a lot of people pushing their kids towards sports to get, not necessarily become pro athletes, but that's still, believe me, there's a lot of parents that have the the illusions of grandeur that these kids are going to become professional too. And like, I think everyone knows like the real stats behind it, that it's like less than 1% of 1% of 1% are ever going to make it to that level. But I think a lot of it has to do with college. So I think if they can get supplemental income for the kids, they view it as an investment in their kids. So it's definitely a strange time in the when you watch youth sports. But I think there's, on the flip side, so those are the negatives that are driving it. I'll give you one positive that I think is driving the expansion of youth sports. As long as you don't couple it with the crazy parents behind it, I think it's a good thing. And I think that is the fact, again, go back to technology and child obesity, child diabetes, which is a huge problem in the United States. I think that parents are very, very worried about their kids being on, the iPad all the time. And not that it's a bad thing, but, the video games, things like that, the more sedentary type of lifestyle that kids are leading today, because it's easier to communicate via, the internet. Look, I watch my kids, and I worry about them being on the iPad at night, right? Even though it's the way they communicate with their friends now. They can be on things. And so I think they view sports as, hey, if I can get them involved in sports, at least they're out there being active. And that is a good aspect of this.
Joe, I just wanted to jump in because you had some key points here. And I guess I'll work my way in. The key part is the camaraderie, number one, the physical interaction, number two, actually physically seeing a person versus staring at a screen. You'll take that over any day. The inability for parents to manage screen time for their kids. It's out of control. It's out of control because I can tell you one, I've been in IT for 20 years, and it has to be really in depth to say, okay, I'm going to turn off the internet for these devices at this time. The average dad or mom is not going to know how to do this type of stuff. So it's unsupervised internet usage is another piece. The other thing I was going to bring up, which you made a good point, is, are these youth athletes taught from a young age to be aggressive at all costs? Now, aggressive to the point of, hey, it's like you said, do you have the overbearing parent that says, hey, I want you to get this scholarship because it's going to subsidize the loan, it's going to limit the amount of funds that we are going to have to kick out to include, so that you can succeed and achieve your degree. But also, like you said, the delusions of grandeur. I mean, I look at some of these parents and, the way they're pushing and screaming at the kids, and I'm just like, okay, let's take a deep breath because this is just a game.
Yeah, no, I think it's strange, right? You can't put your hand on it, but I would have to say, I try to think back to when I grew up again. It was just a different place, right? You didn't have, maybe parents didn't have the time. I sometimes wonder what it is, but I do agree it's way too competitive, way too early. I just went to, a Hall of Fame induction thing for the Master Hockey Hall of Fame for a couple of friends of mine, and one of the coaches was the coach of BU, the legendary guy Jack Parker, and a friend of mine named Dave Jensen who played on the Olympic team and was played in the pros, and he was inducted. But they talked about the number one thing about the state of hockey in Massachusetts and other sports, and they all universally said it's way too serious and kids need to be having fun. And I don't, you could debate why it's driving it, but it's definitely not healthy for the children. They definitely need sports. Like part of the reason, with the project that we do here and what we're doing at the New England Sports Village up here is to try to bring sports back to what it should be, which is that platform that prepares kids for life, right? Exactly what you said. Camaraderie, you're a part of a team, sacrifice, working within a group, all those things that are really good skill sets that come from sports. But I think it's almost this compete over everything and access to too much information where the parents have just gotten away from them, right? And you can't be pushing kids to compete and be focused on winning at the cost of being a good sport, at the cost of, having respect for your opponents. But that also happens, that's also like what you mentioned. I think it's also a reflection of technology, right? Where there's not as much accountability, where, you have a lot of social bullying, things like that, where it's different.
Yes.
Where, so and I'm not here to, I don't want to be negative about technology. There's incredible things that technology has done for society, and it's unbelievable how far we've come. But there definitely is a social negative to the kids aren't meant to have so much information all the time, and I think sports, it's translated into the competitive nature of sports at young ages. So, we just have to try to get it. Doesn't mean sports are bad. It means sports, the purity of them are amazing, and they're needed more than ever. But I think it needs to be balanced with, what are these kids there to play sports and why? And it's really to build skills for life, because most of them aren't going to go anywhere higher. Majority of them won't even play in college, right? So
it's true.
But I think there's a lot of positive aspects, a lot of things that we could change. And I think it's an interesting time that we're in.
Joe, I want to thank you. Before I thank you, I definitely want to get you back here whenever you're available. I'll work through the PR firm, but I want to get back there with you because there's some core values that you've mentioned tonight that really I want to touch upon once again, because it is about parents realizing, like I said, you can live vicariously through your son or daughter and thinking they're going to be the next pro athlete, or you can have, that reality check. But I definitely wanted you to come back. Also, before you go, I want you to plug New England Sports Village. What's the best way to learn more about it? Find it online, listen to it via social media, all the above.
Yeah, the best place to go is just go to the website. It's sportsvillage.com, and you can see a lot of really great information. It's definitely a project that is right in line with what you and I are talking about, which is, trying to create an atmosphere where sports is extremely positive for the family and dynamic in the interaction between the parent and the child. That's the basis of the whole thing. And I think what the stuff that you're doing, on your show is incredibly important. So, yeah, I'd love to come back anytime and, keep up the good work.
Joe, thanks so much. Want to give you a round of applause.